Imagine stepping into a time machine, traveling back to a world of blinding sun, endless wilderness, and a society on the brink of a massive explosion. Welcome to Florida in the 1940s, a time when the tropical paradise we know today was nothing more than a wild, untamed frontier caught in the crossfires of a global war. What we are exploring today is a world of stark contrasts, where beauty met danger and deep-rooted traditions clashed with an unstoppable future. By the dawn of the 1940s, World War II had completely rewritten the destiny of this southern peninsula. Almost overnight, the entire region was transformed into a monstrous military training ground. The flat, sun-drenched landscape became the perfect staging area for over 170 massive military installations. Soldiers, sailors, and airmen from every corner of the nation flooded into newly built bases. The quiet, sleepy atmosphere was suddenly shattered by the energy of thousands of young men preparing for battle. But this temporary paradise came with a dark, terrifying reality. If you walked along the coast at night, you wouldn't see the glittering lights of luxury hotels. You would see absolute, suffocating darkness. Strict blackout regulations were enforced with absolute rigidity. Headlights were painted pitch black, and heavy, thick curtains sealed every single window after sunset. Why? Because just off the coast, lurking silently in the deep Atlantic waters, were enemy submarines. They were hunting, waiting for Allied ships to be silhouetted against the bright lights of the cities. One single slip of light could mean fiery death out at sea. Away from the heavily militarized coasts, deep in the heart of the countryside, a completely different world existed. This was the empire of citrus. Vast groves of oranges and grapefruits stretched as far as the eye could see, forming the absolute backbone of the economy. Millions of crates of fresh fruit were harvested by hand, rushed to factories, and processed into canned juice. This wasn't just a commercial business, it was vital fuel sent across the oceans to nourish soldiers fighting on the front lines. The sweet scent of orange blossoms was now inextricably linked to the global war effort. And then there were the legends of the interior. Long before the concrete highways and theme parks, the land belonged to rugged, sun-baked cattlemen. These were not your typical Hollywood Western figures. They were tough, resilient souls navigating massive herds across vast, untamed prairies and treacherous marshlands. They carried a unique legacy, known for the distinct echoing sound of their long braided leather whips cracking through the thick, humid air like thunderclaps. They didn't use these whips on the cattle, they used them to communicate with each other across the endless miles of isolation. Life during this decade was also a grueling daily battle against nature itself. This was an era before the luxury of modern air conditioning. Can you imagine the suffocating, oppressive heat of a subtropical summer without AC? To survive, families relied on architectural ingenuity, constructing homes with soaring, high ceilings and expansive, wide porches wrapped in protective screens. And then there were the pests, swarms so thick they could overwhelm livestock. To fight back, people burned heavy metal containers filled with damp, smoking wood outside their doors, creating a thick blanket of smoke to keep the wilderness at bay. Yet, despite wartime restrictions and the harsh climate, the undeniable magnet of tourism refused to die. A vibrant vacation culture was quietly beginning to bloom. Sun-seekers escaped the freezing northern winters, crowded into massive train stations, and stepped out into the tropical warmth. Traveling down narrow, two-lane highways, they discovered a bizarre and beautiful world of early roadside attractions. They marveled at exotic birds and stared in awe at dangerous reptiles, creating memories of a paradise that seemed almost too vibrant to be real. But beneath the beautiful, sun-kissed surface of this era lay a deeply fractured society. The social fabric of the 1940s was brutally dominated by strict, unyielding segregation laws. The vision was alive and well. Residents of different backgrounds were forcibly separated in every imaginable public space, from water fountains and restaurants to beaches and public transportation. It was a world of deep, systemic injustice. Yet, in the face of oppression, marginalized communities refused to be defined by their limitations. They built their own powerful, vibrant neighborhoods and bustling commercial districts. Cultural epicenters emerged, places where legendary musicians, artists, and intellectuals gathered, performed, and thrived. The streets of these independent enclaves echoed with jazz, blues, and an undeniable spirit of resilience that could not be suppressed. As the 1940s drew to a close, the old ways of life began to vanish forever. A massive wave of new residents flooded into the region, drawn by the booming aviation and technology industries that grew out of the war. And the ultimate game changer arrived: large-scale environmental control programs. Armed with new chemicals and heavy machinery, developers began draining the ancient swamps of the coast, turning what was once considered unlivable wasteland into prime, multi-million-dollar real estate. This era was more than just a nostalgic memory. It was a pivotal turning point in history, a brief moment in time when a region was caught directly between its wild, untamed past and its glittering high-tech future. Which of these historical realities surprised you the most? Was it the enemy submarines lurking just off the beaches, or the daily battle against the elements before modern technology? Let me know in the comments below. If you want to uncover more hidden stories from the past through rare historical journeys, don't forget to like this video, share it with a fellow history lover, and subscribe to Old Photo History. See you in the next chapter of time.